Thanks for being here, everybody. I'm Besh. I'm the director of BQ Architects. We're a small firm in the Darabin area in Preston. Been operating about 5 years, entering our 6th now. And yeah, primarily residential architecture. So we do a fair bit of multi-res apartments, townhouse developments, single dwellings, and residential extensions. So one of which we'll be taking you through today, being the Northcote Abode. We acknowledge the Wurundjeri people, which is the land where the project is located. So the site's in Northcote. Melbourne's in our north. It's more on the city end of Northcote. I know a couple of you are from Northcote here today, so it's just on Basting Street, about 4 or 5 blocks in from High Street, which is pretty much Northcote's spine, and apparently the best street in the world now. I don't know if we saw that one. And just adjacent to the town hall, so Bastings is just before that Northcote town hall, and you turn in for about 5 blocks to get to our site. And it's adjacent to a pretty prominent and large park, which had a lot to do with our response. The existing house is a Californian bungalow, fairly dilapidated both on the outside and the inside, as you can see. It was a part of the same family who lived here for over 50 years, so there was a little bit of sentimental value that we thought we might allow to influence our design response. But also retaining and restoring this facade, which we see as a pretty iconic Melbourne typology, especially in Northcote, being a Californian bungalow. So our response was to partially demolish the rear and extend, but we didn't just want to extend by slapping on the boxed formation to the back. We felt the extension shouldn't impose too much visual bulk, especially being adjacent to a big public park. So you're going to have that entire side interface that's going to be quite exposed. And the last thing we wanted to do is coming in with your standard contemporary additions. We wanted something that would more so coexist with the existing architecture. And so the proposal became one of a gable addition. We felt this coexists with the Californian bungalow. Parts of it actually match the same roof line for the first portion of the extension. And then after which the extension opens up to the rear, which is your main living, kitchen, dining spaces, which becomes a bit of a contemporary gable with cathedral ceilings. And then finally it spills out onto an alfresco and a pool area in the rear. The result is an extension that's quite relevant to the topology, but also respectful of the parkscape. So again, not too imposing, but it also meant the neighbouring built forms could still benefit from their outlook. So didn't just want to come in here and really maximise and go as high as we could. The client was a developer, so it took some convincing, but we did manage to get the yield that we wanted without having to be too intrusive. We keep the park happy, we keep the trees happy, we keep the neighbours happy. In terms of plan, we wanted to curate the layout and really make a point of inheriting the park. So what that meant was you're not just visually inheriting, but from an experiential sense. As you move through the space, you get snapshots of the park from each room, and we made a point of really stacking most of our habitable internal spaces along the park interface, and leaving most of the non-habitable areas on the opposite interface. And then in between the two is our central corridor, which sort of started to act as a vista. As you move through the space, it gives you those snapshots through the habitable rooms out to the parkscape. The site being oriented north, we're always going to be challenged with having our addition to the south, around the risk of having didn't want to simply just extrude back and then you have a strict single southern facing face. So we needed to combat that in a way, and what we decided to do was bring in a courtyard. The courtyard not only gave us the opportunity to have northern aspect light in our main living areas, but it also achieved opportunities for cross ventilation, and also acted as a little spill out zone, second spill out zone that directly abuts the parkscape. So the result is an internal program that gives constant light, no matter where you are, but also a constant sense of the lush park and the large tree canopies. You get a constant impression of being amongst this established sort of forest, if you call it. You actually move through the space and you start to forget that you're actually in Northcote. As soon as you enter from the entry and you move through, all the way through to the back where the outdoor amenity and the pool is, there's not a building inside. So you look out and all you see is large tree canopies. Fortunately enough, the neighbouring properties also have large canopies in their rear yards. So it is a bit of an escape, but still having an inner city suburb at your doorstep. Thanks for listening.
Right.